Veterans of the war in Afghanistan have been voicing their anger and disappointment at the chaotic U.S. withdrawal there. Our next guest is part of a community that helps veterans. Sheehan from the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America SEAL Team Intelligence Officer for 9 years, vet of the Operation Iraqi War, Iraqi Freedom, and was in high school for the 9/11 attacks. It is unbelievable. When we just heard that story, by the way, 20 years later, the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is now finally going to trial. I mean, you were in high school. That just goes to show why so long for justice.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for having me on. You know, our veterans are obviously outraged. They're absolutely heartbroken what's going on in Afghanistan that have unfolded over the past 2 weeks. I will say there was a quote that used to echo the hallways of Annapolis when I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy. And it said, "I gave up my boyhood to fight and to train, to play my own part in the Patriot game." And there's a large amount of brave men and women who gave up parts of their youth and parts of themselves in Afghanistan, and they're left now questioning, was it worth it? Did what they do matter? And they shouldn't have to shoulder that burden. We've had 4 administrations ask our brave men and women to go into harm's way, and every single time they answered the call without hesitation. And they did it not because they hated what was in front of them, but because they loved what was behind them. And what they love about this country is that they know no matter where they are in the world, in uniform or out, if they're pinned down or trapped, our country will go and get them. We have a sacred responsibility with our citizens to our government to not leave people behind. And we're not doing it right now. We're leaving American citizens in Afghanistan hanging fire, and it's unacceptable.
And it's a real shame and slap in the face to all those veterans, especially those that have been in Afghanistan. We've been there for 20 years. And now, as the nation prepares to memorialize the 9/11 attacks 20 years later, you combine those two and you talk to veterans who feel as if they've somehow regretted ever enlisting. And you remember after 9/11, many people were called to duty. And now they watch the fallout from the Middle East, and I'm wondering how they're feeling about that now.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of veterans, like I said, are heartbroken. You know, there's another Irish guy by the name of Kennedy who said that victory has 1,000 fathers and defeat is an orphan. You know, this administration really needs to start owning this withdrawal. And they can start by stop listening to their high-level State Department and DOD officials with their Washington think tank white papers. I don't know what white paper said to go play footsie with the Taliban on this withdrawal, but we should crumple it up and toss it in the garbage. Our #1 priority, and from the get-go, should be getting U.S. citizens out of Afghanistan. You know, I've talked to a number of veterans, and I think, you know, with the majority of Americans, too, we're okay with leaving Afghanistan, but we're not okay with what was taken from us as we left. We left billions of dollars worth of equipment were taken from us. U.S. citizens were taken from us that are still there, and 13 American heroes were taken from us. You know, I could tell you that I spent just under a decade in military intelligence, so I understand our capabilities. And what I would do is literally darken out the sky with our air superiority. I would throw up F-18s, A-10s, Predator drones, and any other gunships that we have, and couple forces on the ground, carve out a path for U.S. citizens to get to the airport and make sure they get out.
Sheehan, thank you very much. On the screen is veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. That's the Veterans Crisis Hotline. We urge any veteran watching right now who needs help to seek it. Will, thank you.
Thank you.
Anita.